Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get together live here on Facebook, where we connect through news from our city, state, and country, and through your constant and wonderful inquiries, questions, ideas, thoughts, comments, suggestions, your curiosity to know more about our way of life, our culture here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It is always a pleasure to get together with you. Today is the last day of February. March, it starts tomorrow. The weather's getting warmer, but it's all good. It's all good. How is everybody this morning? I am happy to see that Den has been proactive and decided to go ahead and buy tickets for my next lecture. Yay! This makes me very happy. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anyhow, I have gathered all kinds of wonderful news that I'm just itching to share with you. So it's going to be a good day. Before we start, as always, I welcome everybody watching. We haven't given a shout out to our friends that watch on YouTube in a while. So if you're not watching live, but you're watching YouTube, it's always a pleasure to know that this is the case. But if you're watching live for the first time and you want to let us know, please do so by adding the word new to your comment. We'll give you a nice little welcome. If you don't want us to miss your comment because it's truly important for you to get some feedback, kindly add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment, and that way we'll look for it later on in the broadcast. Time for the news. Well, as I mentioned, we start with good news. Local authorities have announced the beginning of the new pier construction of the new pier to be located right next to the Puerto Vallarta Maritime Terminal. This was only possible once all the issues with the community of local fishermen presently using the area were settled. This, of course, after months of meetings between federal authorities and the Fishermen Association. You may recall, in case this is not familiar to you, that several months ago, the government of Jalisco announced the improvement of all piers in the state. And of course, this affects not only the Boca Pier, which is already being fixed up, but also and other piers within the bay. This also affects the Los Peines Pier, which is located next to the Maritime Terminal. This pier has been used by local fishermen for many, many years, but it is now going to be transformed into a brand new pier that will be available for smaller tourism vessels to be able to use. Of course, in order to be able to do that, the government needed to see eye to eye with the fishermen that have been using the space for so many years. So this will be good for our city once it is concluded. So in my announcement, I said that Spanish courses had been approved for all tourists, but I was only kidding. I was only kidding. Where is the kidding sound? Here it is. What is actually happening is this past Friday, Puerto Vallarta City Council approved a proposal to provide tourism police members with free and mandatory English courses to better communicate with English-speaking tourists and locals. The courses will consist of 2 weekly sessions for a total of 50 hours of language training. On any given day, the city's tourism police force handles a range of issues from answering basic questions about the city to providing restaurant recommendations to assisting when crime takes place. 15 elements of the tourism police force have been selected to be the first to take this new training, and I suppose this is very good news as well. But of course, as English speaking locals, it's worth reminding you that there are all kinds of Spanish speaking courses available in the city, including ongoing classes at the Joint Co-working Hotel, where I teach my music lectures. So just keep that in mind should you wish to improve your own Spanish speaking skills. Spanish speaking kills. I love it. Nice Freudian slip, Paco. And yesterday we announced that Cepal was going to cut down or eliminate water flow in several neighborhoods throughout the city. Now they have announced that Pitillal and a number of additional colonias will experience water shortage issues today. All the colonias are listed in this referenced article. The Cliff Notes version of this, however, is that if you are experiencing low water pressure today or no water at all, chances are it has to do with Ceapal improving their connections throughout the city. And it has been announced that all service will be restored by 8 p.m. this evening. Now, back to this whole issue of whether a restaurant is a restaurant or a restaurant bar or whatever. CANARAC, the Restaurant Chamber of Commerce, has finally pressured the city into verifying each and every restaurant or bar license currently in the city in order to clarify whether they are either a restaurant or a bar or both. This, of course, is happening prior to the expectation of such businesses to renew their license accordingly. The period for restaurants or bars to renew their license was supposed to end today, but the city has extended it for another month until March 31st. It is worth remembering that during the pandemic, some bars that wanted to stay afloat requested and got restaurant licenses, and now it's working against their advantage to have both, because if you have both licenses, you have to renew both permits. And now that the pandemic is no longer such a big issue, a lot of businesses are complaining of the high license fees. This shouldn't affect us, of course, as consumers, but it is important news. And speaking of important news, this is wonderful. Jalisco's Secretary of Health is reporting that with an average of only 150 new daily COVID-19 cases, our state is presently at an all-time low of COVID cases. That said, it is worth remembering that the pandemic is not over, and even though this decrease in cases coincides with increasingly warmer weather, it is always worth remaining on the cautious side and following the guidelines that we know so well. Time to pack our bags and head to the Maya area, to the Yucatan Peninsula. Federal authorities have confirmed that the Tren Maya or Maya train will commence operations on December 1st of this year, connecting the states of Quintana Roo, Tabasco, Yucatan, Campeche, and Chiapas with a network of 1,554 kilometers of track, with a total of 20 stations and 14 additional stops. The opening date coincides with President López Obrador's 5th anniversary as President of Mexico, and operation of the first train will be in the hands of the first woman conductor. And I say conductor with a little bit of trepidation because I actually just think that a train conductor is called a train conductor, the person that runs the locomotive. I could be wrong. If I got that wrong, please let me know. What do you call the person that runs the locomotive? I think it's conductor. I could be wrong. I would be curious to identify the proper term in English. Let's see. We have another important opening to announce, but we'll save that for after the weather break. Ah, I see engineer. I see engineer. Thank you very much. Well, there you have it. I learn something new from you every day, and I think that is wonderful. So, the first train engineer of the new Maya train will be a woman. How fun. Let's see. Oh, but Karen now says it's conductor. Okay, we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out. In the meantime, Snarky Weather says, oh, that is snarky. The weather is nothing special, just like you. Well, I beg to differ, but that's my own interpretation. It is 27 degrees right now. Humidity is low at 34%, and that is a great thing because I'm going out to record a walking tour today. Our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Our weather forecast for today says that it's going to be partly cloudy through the day with a high of 30 and a low of 19. Tomorrow, Wednesday, is going to be mostly cloudy through the day with a high of 29 and a low of 19. And Thursday will be another partly cloudy day with a high of 29 and a low of 16. Lovely, lovely, cool days. Although I have to say that in the last 3 nights, I have had to shelter myself against mosquitoes. Mosquitoes seem to be returning to my home. I don't know if it's seasonal or what, but 2 nights ago, I had the worst time falling asleep because I heard the buzzing of a mosquito late at night. And I don't know what your experience is with a mosquito, but for me, one of the worst things that can happen late at night is to hear that bzzz, because once I hear the bzzz, I know that there are mosquitoes around, so I need to cover myself completely. And when I cover myself completely, I get warm and I start thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get bitten. And then insomnia unfolds. But that's just me. Not a fun place to be. We'll come back to the debate between conductors and engineers. And another word comes to my memory, porter. Aren't there porters on the train as well? But we'll get to that. I want to let you know of another opening that has me totally excited. We have mentioned this before, and it's finally happening. The new Mazatlán aquarium is set to open its doors to the public on March 30th of this year. We need one of these for that. It will feature 50,000 square meters of construction, 4 million liters of water in its tanks, and it will become the largest aquarium in Mexico and one of the largest in the world. The new aquarium is called the Mar de Cortés, or Sea of Cortés Aquarium, and it is set to become one of the principal tourism attractions in Northwest Mexico. And of course, with my new senior power to get discount bus rides, I am so excited about the idea of going to Mazatlán for a weekend and checking out the new aquarium. Here is an artist's rendering of the new aquarium located in what is known as the hotel zone in Mazatlán, not the traditional part of the city, but the hotel zone. So that'll be a fun excuse to visit the city of Mazatlán, at least for me. I wonder if you're excited about the new aquarium. Some people have commented that aquariums in this day and age are probably not as popular as before, the whole issue of having animals in captivity. I wonder how you feel about that. I think that Um, yes, there are issues with putting animals in captivity, but then there's also something to be said about the research that goes on to better protect these animals, both while they are in captivity, but also in the wild. And now, the president and his elf. Let us talk about the president and his elf. This is the post, the Twitter post that got President Lopez Obrador all over the news map in Mexico and the United States and England and probably other places. This says, posted by President Lopez Obrador, I would like to share two photographs of our supervision of the construction of the Maya train. One taken by an engineer 3 days ago, and it seems to be an aluje, and the other one by Diego Prieto of a splendid pre-Hispanic sculpture in Ekbalam. Everything is mystical, he said. Well, an aluje is supposed to be a Mayan elf of some sort. I actually did not do a lot of research into Mayan mysticism. And as I mentioned yesterday, our president seems to be or has expressed his keen fascination for Mayan mysticism in the past. But the whole issue of posting this in his Twitter account may have been interpreted curiously by the press in other countries. And, it is what it is. Before we get into our comment section, I would like to remind you that today is once again the last day of the month. And tomorrow and the following day, the Amapas Neighborhood Association is running this collection of e-waste, electronic waste, which, as we know, is the world's fastest growing waste stream, and much of it is handled unsafely. So if you have old computers, laptops, tablets, cell phones, monitors, things that you wish to get rid of, you have an opportunity to get rid of this in a responsible manner by bringing your chingaderas to the Amapas Neighborhood Association office. I'll make sure to leave a link for their Facebook and web page in the show notes so that you know exactly where to go. And with that said, let me just push the chit chat button and see what's on your mind. Tutti tutti. Lots of good mornings, of course. Let's see. Albert, oh my goodness. Albert's time in Mexico is about to end. And I am mindful of that because we've had the opportunity to cross paths a couple of times during this trip and have had excellent visits. Param pim pum pum. And then we get into the debate. Engineer seems to be the proper... somebody broke it down beautifully. Conductor is the guy inside who collects the tickets, says Christy. Thank you very much. The conductor deals with passengers, so the engineer runs the machine. And then I mentioned the porter, because I remember porters when I was a child taking the train, the overnight train from Mexico City to Monterrey and vice versa. It used to be called the Regiomontano. And it was the porter who would convert your sit-down room into a bed while you were having dinner. Christy confirms that porters carry the bags for the passengers. And let's see what else we have. Deb says, I have an aluk also. Feed it every day. Good to know. Went last night, a restaurant report, went last night to the Lisboa Garden for food, garden food place, very nice place, food was good, very pet friendly, can sit on the seats and no one says anything. Only downfall is that they don't have a beverage list. So you don't know what they sell and how much they sell it for. I would go back for sure when I actually see a menu. This, as you may recall, is the new restaurant located to where Comedor Versalles used to be, and I have learned through some friends that Comedor Versalles has closed. Unfortunately, they used to have this amazing octopus pizza and other pizzas as well. But the new Lisboa place, I find it curious that they say they serve sushi and tacos. It seems like an odd combination, but I walked in, as you may recall, on the day in which they first opened to the public, and it looks like a beautiful space. Haven't had a chance to sit down there and enjoy the food, but it's good to hear from Michael. Hello, Michael. That it was a positive experience. Christine asks, is there still a Tuesday market in Pitillal? I have first timers here and they want something to do non-touristy. Interesting. I don't know of a Tuesday market in Pitillal, although I do remember that a couple of times while getting my vaccines, my COVID vaccines, there is the huge tianguis, not in Pitillal proper, but closer to the La Lija place. I wonder if this is what you're talking about. If anybody knows of a Tuesday market in Pitillal, I would also be curious to know about it, or if the market closer to La Lija is the one that we're talking about here. And let's see. I believe the Versalles market is on today on Lisboa. That is a different market. This is true. Thank you, Michal. And that is correct. There is that restaurant on Lisboa Street. Oh, wait. Oh, my bad. Okay, so Michael is referring okay, see, I got it all wrong. If we are talking about two different places, I think Michael is referring to the same place where the Versalles market is now meeting, on that healthy restaurant. Or maybe I'm just getting all my restaurants mixed up. However, okay, now you're getting me all confused. Three things we're talking about here. There is a restaurant that sells healthy food in Díaz Ordaz, not in Versalles, that has a market within their property on Tuesdays, and that would be today. There is the new Jardín, I believe, Lisboa, which Michael has just confirmed that we were talking about, that serves sushi and tacos. And third, there is supposedly a market in Pitillal that takes place on Tuesday. See, that's how rumors get started. So anyhow, I hope we are able to connect the dots accordingly and find the places that we're looking for without me making a big mess of it all. And this, my friends, brings us to the end of today's broadcast. I'm excited for today because I'm having lunch with a dear friend, and I'm having a very important, fun meeting that, if all goes well, will allow me to make a very special announcement tomorrow. And then I'm walking. Would you like to know where I'm walking? I'm not going to tell you. I always like to surprise you. Okay, one final comment about the Lisboa garden. The place, Brian says that they went for a snack and a drink. Food was very good. Drinks were affordable. The waiter said it is owned by the same person that owns El Coyul, which is a very well-known liquor store chain here in Puerto Vallarta. Pacifico beer was only 30 pesos, and that the most expensive drink was 130 pesos. Hopefully, they will have a drink menu put together at some point. My sense was that when the place opened, they were still figuring out exactly what they were going to offer, both as far as drinks and food are concerned. So they may still trying to find their bearing, which is perfectly acceptable in my book and hopefully also in yours. Okay, We're off. Have an awesome day. I'll see you again tomorrow, and if not, sometime, hopefully, in the near future. Take care.